Hello, this is CF Charts. Today I'm going to be discussing who would be King of England today if Edward VI lived longer and produced an heir. Keep in mind that this is just fictional, as I am theorizing the scenario and it's not meant to be taken seriously. Anywho, this chart starts with Edward VI, who in this timeline lived to adulthood and produced 9 children with his wife, and ending with the current monarch today, Richard IX. We'll be discussing over 500 years of alternate history, so let's see who would be King of England today if Edward VI lived to adulthood and produced an heir. Edward was born on the 12th of October, 1537, in his mother's room inside the Hampton Court Palace in Middlesex. He was the son of King Henry VIII by his third wife, Jane Seymour, and was the only son of Henry VIII to outlive him. Throughout the realm, the people greeted the birth of a male heir whom we hungered for so long with joy and relief. Teas dooms were sung in churches, bonfires lit, and it was their shut at the tower that night above 2,000 guns. Queen Jane, appearing to recover quickly from the birth, sent out personally signed letters announcing the birth of a prince conceived in the most lawful matrimony between my lord the king's majesty and us. Edward VI was christened on the 15th of October with his 21-year-old half-sister Lady Mary as godmother and his 4-year-old half-sister Lady Elizabeth carrying the chrism. The Garter of the King of Arms proclaimed him as Duke of Cornwall and Earl of Chester. The Queen, however, fell ill and died of postnatal complications on the 24th of October, days after Edward's birth. Henry VIII wrote to Francis I of France that divine providence hath mingled my joy with bitterness of the death of her who brought me this happiness. When Edward was 9 years old, he ascended the throne, after Henry VIII died in 1547 at the age of 55. A regency council was set up for the young king, as obviously a king of that age wouldn't govern and rule the country on his own. As a child, Edward VI was betrothed to Elizabeth of France, daughter of Henry II of France and Catherine de' Medici. However, Pope Julius III threatened to excommunicate Henry and Elizabeth if they went through with the marriage, so the marriage was turned down. During this period, Edward's sister, Princess Elizabeth, encouraged him to marry and continue the Tudor dynasty forward. After several failed marriage proposals, Edward VI married Prince Dorothea of Denmark, youngest child of Christian III of Denmark, in 1564. They had 9 children, 5 sons and 4 daughters. Edward VI was a popular king who in his later years started to partake in battles on the European continent, sometimes along with his son-in-law Maurice of Nassau. Edward VI would then die in battle from a cannonball in battle at the age of 56 in 1593. And it is at this point we'll focus on Edward VI's line and see who would be the King of England today instead of Charles III. Edward III's eldest son Henry would reign for 25 years. Henry's only surviving son Edward died at age 19 with no children, so Henry IX was succeeded by his younger brother, Edward VII. Edward VII was one of the more neutral kings of the House of Tudor, as he refused to partake in any war. However, it was his son, Richard IV, who was widely considered to be the greatest monarch in the House of Tudor. Richard IV started his reign out as King of England. However, starting in the late 1630s, Richard decided to fight for more land. By 1647, Richard IV, Oliver Cromwell, and the third Lord Fairfax conquered all of Scotland, uniting all the British islands and reconquering parts of Normandy that England lost centuries ago. As a result, on the 24th of June, 1547, Richard IV was crowned emperor, then obtaining the title Emperor of the English. Richard IV outlived his son Edward, so his titles went directly to his grandson, Richard V. Under Richard V's reign, the English economy boomed, and he signed a law that gave fairer rights to the poor, which led to his assassination in 1710 at the age of 63. It was at this point in which his only child, Edward VIII, became emperor after him. However, he only reigned for 5 years, then died of smallpox at the age of 46. All three of his sons went on to become emperor of the English, starting with his eldest son, Richard VI. Richard VI was considered incapable of having children, dying childless in 1727 at 37 years old. After this, he was succeeded by his younger brother George. George married 2 times, neither of which produced offspring. This led his youngest brother, Alexander, to marry and continue the family tree. In 1736, Emperor George died, and his youngest brother, Alexander I, became Emperor of the English. He was the only one of the three Edward VIII sons who lived till old age. He died aged 73, having already predeceased his only son and grandson, and his eldest daughter, causing his younger daughter to become Empress, the first female sovereign in England since Matilda. Empress Frederica was not expected to take the throne, as she already had an older brother and an older sister. However, they both died at relatively young ages, as did her brother's son too. She married Franz Xavier of Saxony, whom then they were engaged, became a Protestant. After Frederica's death in 1810, a new house ruled England, the House of Baden, which was the house her son Alexander II was from. Alexander was succeeded by an Alex III, Alex IV, and Alex V. Alexander V died in 1890 with no children, after which his younger brother took the throne as Henry X. Henry X was a popular monarch who saw the amount of English colonies stretch far and beyond his home region, including in Southeast Asia, India, Africa, and even the Middle East and Australia. He died aged 79 and was succeeded by his eldest son, Alexander VI. Alex's only child, his son, Henry Prince Imperial, died aged 27 while on a trip to Africa, where he was killed by a lion. This caused Alexander's younger brother's line to become the sovereign after his death. He was therefore succeeded by his younger brother, Richard VII. Richard VII was the oldest living monarch of all of English history up to that point. His reign saw the Second World War, countless monarchies being abolished, and the point where many of his colonies were gaining independence, to which Richard VII accepted. Richard VII died in 1947 at the age of 91, weeks after him granting India independence. After this, his only legitimate son, Henry, became emperor, assuming the regal name Henry XI. He was a simple monarch, but he did like engaging with the English people. Under his reign, extremist leftists tried to set up a dictatorship, each of them trying to become the prime minister and overthrowing Henry XI, to which it failed, and he imprisoned all of the people involved. That happened in 1956, and Henry XI reigned for another 12 years of peace until dying of cancer at the age of 76 in 1968. Henry XI was succeeded by his eldest child and only son, Richard VIII. Even before his father died, it seemed like Richard VIII would have no children and that the monarchy would pass to his eldest younger sister, Louise. In 1981, Emperor Richard VIII granted his sister the title Princess Imperial and Louis' husband Olaf the title of Prince Imperial. Richard VIII died age 84 from arteriosclerosis in 2007 and was succeeded by his younger sister Louise, then aged 81. Louise's husband died 17 years previously, so she didn't have a consort. She reigned for 16 years before dying in 2023, aged 97. She was succeeded by her eldest son, Richard IX, who is the current Emperor of the English. He became Emperor upon his mother's death on the 10th of December 2023. He has married 3 times first by Lady Jane Spencer, and with whom he has 3 sons. His eldest son, Henry, Duke of Cambridge, died age 26 from a plane crash, and so it was his second son, Alexander, who is the current heir. As heir to the throne, he has the titles Prince Imperial, Prince of Wales, Duke of Rothesay, Duke of Cornwall, along with other minor titles. Alexander has 1 son, Richard, Duke of Cambridge. Richard's wife recently gave birth to a baby boy named Alexander in 2024, so Richard IX has his very first great-grandchild. Alright, so that was a look at the kings/emperors of England if Edward VI lived to adulthood and produced an heir. But before I go, I need to point out a few more connections in the English royal family. Remember Richard IX's father Olaf? Well, he turns out to be the son of Prince Harold of Denmark, who just so happens to be the third-born son of King Frederick VIII of Denmark, meaning the current emperor, Richard IX, is part of the House of Glucksburg, which is the current house reigning in England today. One more connection. Remember Richard IV? Well, we already know that his son Edward predeceased him, but Edward, Prince Imperial, had another son named William, who founded the Tudor branch of the House of Tudor, which is the only male line branch that still exists to this day. Going down 11 generations in a strictly male-only line, we find that the current Duke of Kendal is Charles VI Louis. He has 2 sons and 4 grandsons, so it appears likely that the male line will continue for at least a few more generations to come. Alright, so that was a look at who would be King of England today if Edward VI produced an heir. If you want to download the chart as a PDF, click the Google Drive link in the description. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more for family tree charts or alternate history tree charts I might make in the future. Thanks for watching.